We'll start with compulsion. Om-Jnana-Timirātisya Jnana-Jana-Shalakaya Chakshurim-Vedam Tasmai Sri-Gurave Sri Chaitanya-Manubhishtam Sthavita Yena Sutare Swayam Ikpatarātaya Tadāpi Soparatikam Bhakti Sri-Yuta-Padakavana Sri-Guru-Vaishnavascha Sri-Rupam-Sarvajana Sarvaya Sadvaitam Sarvaitam Parajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sadhana Sri Sadhana Nama Krishna Pada Krishna Krishna Bhattare Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Ravini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauram Charani Nirvise Srivari Chasya Sutari Jai Shri Namo Mahamadhyaya Krishna Prema Pradaya Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurati Saitama He Krishna Karana Siddhu Veda Bhakti Jagatpati Krishna Gopika Arte Namaste Namaste Tapte Kamchan Gaura Krishna Rame Vrindavan Suri Vishyaram Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Vanchakar Nishchar Vipasa Krishna Padvikarma Vivek Vishnu Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Krishna Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Hare Welcome. आपको पहली बार क्लास में ना This is the first time you are attending such session or only this class you are coming first time? So you have already attended. Or you are already attending? No, first time. Alright. So feel free to ask any question. Right. It's better if you ask the question so that all your doubts will be clarified. Our whole Sanatana Dharma is based on the questions. Right. The whole Bhagavad Gita is based on the question. Arjuna asked all the question and Krishna answered, right? So feel free to ask the question anytime you are thinking like you need to ask, right? So don't hesitate. So we are at end of the chapter. So I'll give a quick recap. Last year.
Last year.
Yes. So we don't go very fast.
Yesterday, the Telangana group is there.
They allow?
That means
That's great. Okay. So yeah. So we don't go that fast because the main thing is absorption. Like you see below. So main thing is absorption. When you go slow, you actually you will absorb more things. Bhagavad Gita is not about learning all the verses and all. It is about how we can apply in our life. Otherwise, there are thousands of people who know all 700 sloka left and right and from behind to forward everything, right? So yeah, the main thing is like to understand it fully and absorb in our life. How we can apply in our life on day-to-day basis. Right. So we'll have a quick recap. This is a section where Arjuna is asking more questions. So before that, just let me give you a very brief. Before that, what happened? Krishna is talking about Sthir Prajna. Have you heard about that? Sthir Prajna. Sthir Prajna are those kind of people are also. So Sthir Prajna are those kind of people who are one mind, whose focus is one-minded, they are concentrated on one thing. Like my goal, like if you know someone like my goal is clear and I will only work on that goal. Whatever comes around, it doesn't matter. It should not deter me from my goal. So Krishna talked about Sthir Prajna people before that. When he talked a lot about Sthir Prajna people, what kind of people are called Sthir Prajna. Some not lot, but yeah, he touched some things about discipline. So that that brings curiosity in Arjun's mind, and he asks more questions. स्थिर प्रज्ञ का भाषा समाधि से केशव स्थिर स्थित धी किम प्रभासित किमासित प्रजेत किम. Right. I'm going quickly. So he asks these four questions. What are the symptoms of sthir prajna? How does he speak? How does he sit? And how does he walk? Now, when you see those questions, you're like, okay, first question is okay, second is also okay, but what does it like? How does he sit? How does he walk? Right, because it has a deeper meaning to that. So, what are the symptoms of sthir prajna? So, understand that way. Every person, every type of person have their personality. You see rich people, you see poor people, you see someone in your company itself. You see IC, right? I hope you are working in IT, right? So you know individual contributors, right? So IC people, they have a different level of personality. When you go to manager, they have different. When you go to hire like director or VP, like you will see by seeing them itself, you will understand. Okay. So Arjuna asked the question here: what are the symptoms of sthir prajna? What are the characteristics of sthir prajna? By that, what he wanted to ask, like, how does the person act who was sthir prajna? How does the person act in the disturbing situation when they are put in adverse condition, right? At that point of time, how do they react? And again, taking the same setup of office, something bad happen or something very something bad goes in office, and you see the people. There are some people who would be, exactly. There are some people who would be like, I did my job in this job, right? They will start like blame game will start. There will be some people who will be like just listening, and then in the end, or they'll be just giving their view to solve the problem, right? Some people are like, I did not do anything. Some people will be do it constructively, right? So that's what Arjuna is asking here. How does the person act when he is put into adverse conditions? Then the second question, how does he speak? Right. So that means one is like how does he react? Action is not only speaking. Action is like how, like sometimes people don't speak and then something like that. They're like their mind is blown, and by seeing their face, you realize, okay, kuch to gadbad hai. Right? They are scared or they are too much angry. Even if they don't speak, you'll realize by seeing their facial expression that something is wrong or something bad happened or good happened, whatever. Right. So how does they speak? Again, continuation of that. In those conditions, how do they respond? How do they choose to reply to the person or to this condition, to the people who are in front of them in those adverse conditions? Then how does he say? So when we respond, when we respond or to that condition, right? So we utilize our senses. So Arjuna is asking here the question, how do they sit? When we sit down, what we do? We make sure that our senses are okay, they are rested. They are not really going here and there. Like I'm sitting down, my legs are at constant at one level, right? So it is not being utilized so much. So when we say sit, how does he sit? Means how does he stop his senses into those situations? How does he stop those senses from sense object? We'll discuss in detail what are the sense objects. Just to give you a brief, sense object are any object which which gives a stimulation to your senses. Right? Those are sense objects. Like my eyes, if I see ice cream, that gives a stimulation. That is sense object. So in those conditions or going to those conditions, maybe they are realizing that I may be into bad situation now or worse situation. How those people are going to stop their senses getting into that? And this last question, how does it work? So there would be time like when that condition is over, then how we are utilizing our senses when we have to do it proper. Right. So these are the four questions. Like sit and walk here means stopping the senses when you are sitting. When you are walking, you are utilizing your senses. You are utilizing your organs, right? So how are you going to utilize in receiving the sense objects? Right. We'll discuss that in further. So Bhagwan started answering those questions. So first question is started that I'll read the Bhagavad. I'll read the translation. O Parth, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. So, first question is, how does the what is the characteristic or what is the symptom of still pragya people? Means how do they react? How do they act in disturbing situations? So he says that when a man gives up all variety of material desires, sense gratification is material desires. When they give up all variety of sense desires, what are the material sense desires? Any answer? I'll also ask question. You can also ask question. I will also keep asking question. So what do you think are material desires? Most easy question. Exactly. Right. New home, bigger car, right. New clothes. So what Krishna is saying, when a man gives up desire for all those things which are object of sense gratification and which arise from mental concoction. This is important here. It does not mean that leave home, leave car, leave clothes. It does not mean that. The next line is important, which arise from mental concoction. What does it concoction means? Speculation. Right. Now, why do we go for a bigger home or bigger car? When we think that maybe when my family will come, I need more space, right? Those kind of things. Thinking that this is not sufficient, or I am whatever I have is incomplete. Only that time we actually go for the and thinking that when I get a bigger home, my problem will be solved. Right. Thinking that, okay, the 2 BHK is small. When 3 more person from my family comes, it becomes smaller, so people have to sleep. I'll get 3 BHK and then my problem will be solved. And then 10 people came. Then 4 BHK, where it will stop. So that is mental concoction, thinking that material thing will solve my problems. Right. That's mental concoction. And when we try to do things or get the objects for the same satisfying our material desires, that time what Krishna is saying that when he gives up and when his mind thus purified finds satisfaction in the self alone. So why do we do all those things? To find happiness. Everything in our life we do is to find happiness. Right. Think of anything in your life. Right. Even a murderer, he kills someone, he also does it for happiness. He thinks that he'll be happy. Right. After murder. I'm not talking about serial killer, I'm talking about normal murderer also. Right. Serial killer, anyway, they get happiness. Right. So even they find happiness. So everything in our life we do, we think that we'll get happiness. But what God says there here, that happiness is within yourself itself. Like when we have to try to find happiness within ourselves. It's not outside. Means if you try to find happiness in the material things, you may find for a certain time, for a small amount of time, but it will never last long. Like we take the example of bigger home. Right. 2 more people came and then the 3 BHK will also become smaller. Right. So what Krishna says that you try to find satisfaction in yourself alone. And those kind of people who are still pragya, they don't seek the happiness, they don't seek the solution outside themselves. Like in the material thing. What they try to do, they seek the solution within themselves. And who lives within? Atma and and Paramatma. Right. Atma and Paramatma both lives inside us. Right. So try to find happiness which is inside you. That's what Krishna is saying. And when they try to do that, their consciousness becomes pure. We'll discuss that in more in detail. Then their consciousness becomes pure, it becomes transcendental. And that is the quality of still pragya people. Okay. Any question, just ask me because I'm going quite fast now. Just to revise it. This is kind of second revision for this. So in that question came like comes a lot of time like, okay, then what do you mean? Like, shall we leave all the desires and everything? Right. So, first of all, leaving all the desires is not possible because that's a quality of your soul. Your soul will always desire. Soul will always act. So to act and to desire, those two things are quality of the soul, apart from any other thing. So no one can be without doing anything, and no one can be without desiring anything. Now the desire, it is all game of desire. Right. So the question was why this slide was the question was okay. Uh, Before the context was do everything for Krishna, then you will be happy. Now someone said that someone asked the question. Okay, if I am doing this for human, not for Krishna, right? Then what is the problem? And why I don't get to go to the spiritual world? That was the question. So the thing is, if you desire to get one thing, why should you get another thing? If you are desiring to get, say, a diamond, are you going to the steel shop to get a steel? What would you be willing to get? A diamond only, right? And you are saying someone, I want this as a, you are saying to Prabhuji, I want diamond as my birthday gift. But I'm not giving ideas, right? So, but you are saying, Prabhuji, I want diamond for my birthday gift. And Prabhuji gives you some silver thing. You would not be happy. Right. Or in case you want a silver thing for you, for anything, and he gives you something diamond, which is of no use for you, then also you will not be happy. So same thing, if someone is actually willing to do Manav Seva, Manavs are only existed on this planet. On this planet, it's in the material world only. Right. Not only on Earth, but on the material world. So why would they get to go to Vaikuntha when their desire itself is to do Manav Seva? Manav are here, you want to do Manav Seva, you will again be born here. You will be again into the cycle of life and death. Keep on going. Right. So that is one thing we have to remember. Manav Seva. Right. So the question is like what you desire, you will get. Given that you are deserving to get them. If I desire like मुझे CEO बना दो, I don't deserve मुझे CEO नहीं बना देंगे. Right. But if I am deserving to get that, maybe, someday. Like that. I'm not deserving and I'm not willing. Just a disclaimer, but just as an example. Right. So, what we desire, that's what we get. So, it's all game of desire. If someone wants to go to God, they want to serve God, they have to act like that. Why would God take them to Vaikuntha if they are not acting like that, if they are not showing that they want to serve God? Like an example of army can also come. If someone is not strong enough, they are not mentally and physically strong, why would the army take them? If they have options. In case of no options, like say Russia-Ukraine war, they can take anyone, whoever is little bit capable also. But when they have options, and God has a lots of trillions and even trillion is less, right? He has unlimited options to take people who can serve to spiritual world. Right? He has all the options. So why would you take someone who is willing to do Manav Seva rather than doing Manav Seva? So it's all game of desire. What we desire, that's what we'll get. Given that we are deserving. So that's a misconception, Mataji. That's what I'm trying to argue against. Hello. And yes, so along with the game of desire, it is game of intentions also. 99.9% of people who do Mano Seva, they do with this intention that they are serving the Paramatma within them. They are doing with intention that I am serving the humanity, not the Paramatma, not the God. But if you are doing with that intention, that these are also sons or daughters of God only. Right? And how can I see son or daughter of God in distress? If I'm serving them with that intention, I'm actually doing Madhav Seva, not Manav Seva. Manav kya hai? Soul is anyway spiritual. Manav is body, right? And why to stop at Manav? All Jiva are sons and daughter of God. Every Jiva has a soul. Right? So when you say Manav Seva, you are stopping, you are restricting yourself at Manav only. Right? That means the desire is to do actually Manav Seva, not Paramatma. Someone who actually does with the intention of Paramatma Seva, they will not serve just Manav but all Jiva. They will do Jiva Seva, not Manav Seva. Right. So intentions matter a lot. The same activity, we'll discuss that again in detail because those coming verses are for that. The same activity which you are doing for one thing can be done in relationship with God also. It is now. Do you have a question? Feel free to ask any question. Okay. We are here. So next verse, Krishna says that again explaining that one who is not disturbed in mind. He is again explaining the qualities. Quality of his Tirthaka people. One who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, or one who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called sage of steady mind. A steady mind means is similar to people. So, again explaining the quality, they are not disturbed. Like the question was, how do they respond in disturbing situation? So Krishna says that they are not disturbed when threefold misery comes. Threefold misery means there are three types of misery which we get in our life. One, adhyatmic, which comes from within. Right. I'm thinking a lot that what will happen when I don't go to say office, or what will happen when I don't go home, or something like that. I'm taking a lot of over stressing, right? A lot of things which comes within our body, right? Our body also, right? Whatever injury happened to the body. So that is adhyatmic. Then there is second type of injury which is adhibhautik. All other bhut means does not mean ghost actually. Bhut means jeev. Any soul is called bhut. Bhutatma if you hear. Right. So adhibhautik means when you get distress from any other type of creature, any other person also, right? Like from your mother-in-law, right? For an example, or daughter-in-law, right? So that is also, or someone gets bitten by mosquito or dog. So that is adhibhautik. So that type of distress. Third is adhidaivic. All the Devi distress, like earthquake, tornado, huge torrential rain, and all those kind of things, right? So, what Krishna says that one whose mind is not disturbed even when they are in threefold miseries. Also, when there is happiness, they are not too much elated. Like they got promotion, pure society, they are like, oh, I got promotion, now I'm happy, like too much elated. And next day,
Control everything is
yeah, everything is within control, right? And one who is free from attachment, fear, and anger is called sage of stability. And because of those things, they are not fearful of any situation or attached to any situation or getting angry. Those are the people who are called stable. Right. So, any question to me? Right. Next verse, what he explains. Now he is going to the second question, that how do they respond? Now continuation to that only. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. Right. When something good happens, if something good happens, they are not too much happy and they are talking to everyone like, oh, this good happened and that kind of, right? Something bad happened, again, they are not too much become a crybaby kind of people, and then like to whom everyone they are meeting and they're like, this bad thing happened. So they are not going to two extremes of happiness and sadness. That's how they respond. Like if someone does good for you, you are not like keep on praising that you are the best person, only you helped me and this and that, and you are like a god to me and all those things. And someone did bad with you or someone bad with someone, and they become like, मैंने तुम्हारी इतनी help की थी and this I did that thing for you, that those things for you, and then like creating raskas. So Sthit people will always be behaving properly, right? Not going to two extremes. Behaving properly also by tongue, by responding also. Right? That's how they behave. They are fixed in the perfect knowledge. Then next verse, he says, Krishna says that one who is able to withdraw his senses from sense object, as the tortoise draw its lip within the shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. So here the thing came like firmly firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. Now, what is the perfect knowledge? Right. So that's what he's trying to explain. And the question was here, the third question was, how does he stop his senses from sense object? So now Krishna is answering this question. Like a turtle, when he senses the danger, what does he do? Yes, exactly. He protects himself by doing what? He retracts all his limbs inside and even head inside. So he is safe from danger. Same way when such condition come from us, right? We are thinking that it may be not a good condition for us. What will withdraw our sense object? Like if bad things are happening in front of us, like Gandhi ji ke bandar yaad hai. Right, like that. So trying to withdraw as much as possible, right? Or leave the place. So like a turtle does, same thing we have to do. Right? That's our point. Okay. So there are two types of spiritualists, or there are two types of people actually, not spiritualists. One is called Godas, and another is called Goswami. So go means guide. One understanding. Also go means senses, indriya, right? So Godas means someone who is under control of the senses. They are called Godas. And then there are Goswamis. We would have seen a lot of name with the Goswamis. Not just a title, but if you go to any spiritual place, you will say Goswami, Maharaj, right? So Goswamis like who are the master of their senses, who are now able to perfectly control their senses. They are called Goswamis. So explaining the same thing here, like a tortoise. So one story we discussed like of Jad Bharat. The Jad Bharat is the third incarnation of Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj is the king, the great king on whose name our country is called Bharatvarsh. So at the time of his he went to sannyas ashram, Vanprastha ashram, and then sannyas. He was like the only thing like he was one-minded focus that I will only now worship Lord and I will go back to my Vaikuntha because that is our culture. We have four ashram, brahmachari, grihast, Vanprastha and sannyas. Vanprastha and sannyas is like you slowly in Vanprastha we slowly detach from our family life, go a little isolated, start practicing bhakti. And in sannyas, completely detached and only doing bhakti. So he was at sannyas ashram that time. But at one point of time, he saw one deer and he got too much attached to it. So when he was dying, he was still thinking of deer. And in next life, he got the birth as a deer. Because there are two ways you get the next. There are two things which determines your next life. One, what is your consciousness at the time of death, and second, what you deserve to be. Like if the whole life I have deserved the karma, bad karma only, and then at the end moment I desire to become a devata, I will not become. Right. So these two things. What is my consciousness at the end of the time of death? And second is what are my karmas? How much good karma I have accumulated. So he was thinking he has good karma. All the good karma because he was a great, actually one of the greatest king. Right. But his consciousness was what will happen to the deer when I die? So he becomes a deer in next life. But he remembered all his past life.
And this is throughout the life he did a lot of karma, but only at the end he got that.
Yes.
It's the use of his complete life karma.
So you come to this, right? So what is use? When we get the next life, do we remember our last life? Will anyone of us remember our last life? Or maybe two lives back? No, right? That deer remembered all the things which was done. This, whatever happened was actually lesson, right? You'll say. So that deer remembered. Now, the deer was so renunciate, means like a renunciate, like a sannyasi, right? Think of a sannyasi who is not attached to material things. That even when there is an opportunity to eat the green grass, he will go and eat the dry grass so that he does not get attached to the green grass. He will only seek the association of sadhu people and he will go and listen to all the sadhu. So he remembered. The good karma came with that. Now next life when the deer died, next life he got the life again. He remembered all his 2, 3 past lives and he came as a Jad Bharat. His name was Jadbharat, eighth son of a Brahmana. But he remembered all his life, and because he was son of Brahmana, the expectation was he will also do the Brahminical activities. So what he did, he tried to started showing him as a bold person, a fool. Whenever he remembered, he knew everything, all the shastras, all the sloka, everything he knew, he remembered. But what he started showing himself as a fool, so that no one asked him to do anything. And what he do, he'll get a time, he will only do bhakti without any constraint. You have to do this, you have to do that. So people left him, okay, he is a fool person. So they they just left him alone. So he was in the jungle doing tapasya for doing chanting for Bhagwan. And then a king of that kingdom, you are saying the palanquin. Palanquin is palki. Right, king. He was going on a palki, but there was one person who got sick. Palanquin holder. Right, he got sick, so they needed a replacement. They saw him. He was a strong person, like good enough, strong. So they caught him. You come and you do this for me. So now this guy was so renunciate and so enlightened when he was walking with the palanquin. Anytime he see a worm or ant, he will stop. Now when four people are walking, one person stop, what will happen? The whole thing will shake. One time, two time, three times it happened, and the king got angry. And he said, like, he got so angry, he actually about to fall down. He got so angry that he like, I'm going to kill you right now. Right. So till now he did not open his mouth. Even in this condition, and even before, he was just showing himself as a fool. So that no one asked him any question and asked him. Now when he was like about to get killed, then he opened his mouth and he actually gave him all the knowledge. He told him, now you are a king and you are thinking that you are going to kill me, you can do this thing to me, but you know that 2 lives back you were actually my servant, I was the king. Right? And you can only kill the body, you cannot kill the soul, and all those discourses he gave like the Bhagavad Gita. And this king was like awestruck because he was actually going to meet a guru. He wanted to take a diksha. He was going to meet guru. Actually, Kapil Guri. Right. When he saw him and he realized who is the person, he did his dandavat and took a diksha from him. He made himself as a guru. So this story is an example when we have to utilize our senses. Not all the time, not all for material things, but when actually it is needed to, like a tortoise test. Right. So that story is for that. Okay. So did it answer your question? Alright. So what good karma did? Good karma did, and after this life, Jad Bharat, actually Bhagwan he went to Vaikuntha. Right. But this thing happened as a lesson for us. Okay. Right. So in next verse, Bhagwan says that though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense object remains. But ceasing such engagement by experiencing a higher taste, he will be fixed in consciousness. So we just discussed that the nature of jiva is to do activity and desire. It's impossible. It's impossible that we can live without doing any activity or doing any desire. Now the choice is ours. Whether we want to do the material activity, material desire, and get stuck in the life cycle of birth and death, or we want to do the spiritual desire and spiritual activity, and when the time comes, we go back to Vaikuntha. So God gives us a choice here, right? What you have to do. Now here one important point comes: Param Drishtva Nivartate. Right? God, by seizing such engagement, by experiencing a higher taste. So Param Drishtva Nivartate means higher taste. Now, when can you actually leave the desire, or when can you actually be detached from the desire? If someone has a desire to eat something, like say someone has a desire to running a bicycle, right? When can they be detached to the desire? Let's say just as a question.
Getting it after he fulfills all this,
When
after riding this, when you are tired or something, he will.
no, but you don't fulfill a desire. Sometimes have you experienced that After eating a lot of sweet, your stomach will be full, but your mind will not be. It happens or not? Like we always say that. पेट तो भर गया लेकिन मन नहीं भरा. We say that, right? So your desire is not fulfilled. Your desire will never be fulfilled. But there's only one way your desire is fulfilled. When you get the higher taste. That means someone is riding the bicycle. They are like, okay, bicycle, bicycle. But then you give them electric bicycle. They're like, wow, this is the best thing. I don't have to do the work. Right. Then you give them bike. Exactly. Then when they get the bike and you ask ride this bicycle or this, apart from modern generation when people do it for the health benefits, except that point, right? When they get the higher thing, they don't go for lower thing. So when you get the higher taste and it fulfills your desire, because it will fulfill. You are eating a sugar candy, simple ramdana. You know ramdana? The sugar is small things, right? And then someone gives you rasgulla, and they say you have a choice: this ramdana or rasgulla. You can take only one. What would you take? Rasgulla, obviously, right? No one is going to take ramdana because now they have the higher taste, and they know rasgulla is rasgulla. Ramdana, theek hai. I know it is also sweet, but then rasgulla is rasgulla, right? So they will go for rasgulla. So when you get the higher taste, param drishpa nivartate, your actually these lower desires will automatically be gone. You don't have to work for it. It will automatically be gone. When someone gets a bike, they are automatically they don't go for that tricycle which is kept outside for children to run.
But still, desire will not stop.
It will stop. It will stop. That's what I'm saying.
saying.
So when you go from material to spiritual desire, again your desire is shifting from material to spiritual thing. You will get more desire to serve Krishna more. Right? Okay. I like, let's say, as an example, like someone likes this class, they will like, okay, I want to have more such classes. Right? Rather than doing 1 hour, why not let's do for 2 hours? Their desire gets increased, but spiritually, which will help them progress in their spiritual life. Like, yes, desire will get strong, but on the right path, not on the wrong path. Right? So, the higher taste. We had some example. This story we'll discuss again. Another example, one of the best example is Srila Prabhupada. You know Srila Prabhupada? Srila Prabhupada, you know, right?
Yeah.
So, when Srila Prabhupada went to New York, went to America, all those people, all those hippies, they were like into all the material desire. All the things, bad things you think of, drugs, alcohol, illicit relationship, right? They were all into all those things. But when they met Srila Prabhupada and they started attending his classes, all this kind of desire were completely gone and they got transformed. Now their desire shifted from this material thing to spiritual thing. And a lot of them became gurus. Right? A lot of them. We know that. We have live examples. So that's how it works. Now, the last class, what we discussed, the last sloka, is again Krishna is explaining the senses are so strong and impetuous, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind, even of a man of discrimination. Now, before that, it is being talked about the person who do not have their sense of discrimination, like what is right and what is wrong. But Krishna is saying that leave those people aside. Even those people who know the sense of, who have the sense of discrimination between right and wrong, senses are those that strong that even those people will be blown away or carried away by their desires. And the example was given of Vishwamitra Muni. He did the tapasya for 60,000 years. Vishwamitra Muni. Right, Vishwamitra. Right. He wanted to become greater than Rishi Vasishtha. Vasishtha is a very high level of Muni. Right. And Vishwamitra always were kind of enemy to him and he wanted to become better than him. So he was doing tapasya for 60,000 years. But his desire was, again, to become better of some person to satisfy his ego. So what happened? Indra got scared. Anyone get big tapasya, long tapasya, first one get scared is Indradev. Right, he got scared that he will become Indra one day. So he sent the most beautiful Apsara, Menka. When Menka came, he was doing tapasya with his eyes closed. The only organ open, the only sense organ open was ear. And when he heard the tinkling of her ankle bell, chan, chan, and then his mind got diverted. And his desires, because his desires were not completely gone. He got those material desires, those desire to become intimate again, and Sakuntala was born out of this episode. Right. So he knew, he's a rishi, he knew that what is right and what is wrong. Still the senses are so strong that the people who have all the knowledge, they also can get carried away. Right. That's what is mentioned by this story. Right. And in the second picture, what you're saying, that is Durvasa Muni who is doing Dandavat. And this is Ambarish Maharaj. He was a great devotee of Bhagavan. He was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. And once Ambarish Maharaj, some things happened, right? And he created a demon to kill Ambarish Maharaj. Then Ambarish Maharaj, being a devotee, great devotee, he was still pragya. All he was doing is chanting and remembering God. He was not fearful. Okay, if he'll kill me, if he'll kill me. That's okay. Right. And my dharma is to remember God all the time. I'm doing that. Right. He did his duty, whatever was required. But because he was a great devotee of Lord, remembering God, God himself sent the Sudarshan Chakra, what you are seeing here, to kill Durvasa. Right. And Durvasa Muni was running from one planet to another. He went to all the Devatas, he went to Lord Brahmaji, he went to Shivaji. Lord Shiva, right? Not Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, right? He went to Lord Shiva. And he went to, again, Lord Vishnu also. Then he said, no, we cannot do anything. You have to go to whom you have offended. He offended a devotee, and then he came to Ambarish Maharaj. He catch hold of his leg, please forgive me. And Ambarish Maharaj was like, how can you ask? You are a great rishi. How can you touch my leg even? I don't have any grudge. I am not even feeling bad. Please. Then he does like he's asking Sudarshan Chakra, please go back. Please don't do this. Right. So still pragya, like Ambarish Maharaj did. Even in the most distressful situation, that when he was about to get killed, right, he was still pragya, controlling his all senses. Right. That is the quality of still pragya. Right. Fully control of his senses. Right. So that is what explained here also, the same stories. That Krishna consciousness is such a transcendently nice thing that automatically material enjoyment becomes distasteful. Right? So, and Ambarish Maharaj is doing. So, we'll start for today's long recap today. So, we'll start for today's verses. So, we'll go with 2.6 only. So, repeat up. Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asit matparah वशेहि यस्येन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्त आसीत् मत्परः वशेहि यस्येन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्त आसीत् मत्परः वशेहि यस्येन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. Anyone from प्रतिष्ठिता? तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्त आसीत् मत्परः वशेहि यस्येन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. So, translation by one who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as the man of steady intelligence. So, before we go into explanation, anyone knows why we repeat it so many times? You will repeat it, especially first with the new people. क्या लगता है आपको? Why did you repeat 4 times? Actually 8 times. 2 times I did, you repeated 2 times, 1 time Prabhuji. Then repeat and Mazai repeat. Why we did so much of repetition of one verse? Any reason? What do you think?
Recitation. Okay, no.
That is one. That's correct. That's one thing. That to do recitation. But why? What is the logic? Akshara? Say. To understand. But Abhi, I have not explained. Attention. Yes. Also. Any other? Back to the old people. Why did we repeat? क्यों हमने इसको 8 बार बोला? What's the use? क्या clear हो जाएगा? Pronunciation clear होगा. Okay. What else? Yes, that's actually correct thing because when we started the class, including me also, right? I'll not talk about others, including me. It was very difficult to read those verses, especially when the Bhagavad Gita is the simplest Sanskrit text what you will write. Right. All Shastras are actually even way more difficult to read. Right.
Bhagavad Gita only hard, right?
That's what I'm saying. If you read Bhagavatam, right, it is having so big words like Tani Sarvani Sanyam Yukta. The one word will be comprising of this big. One word. This is the simplest Sanskrit text what we can read. Apart from 10th exam what we write. But that's not a spiritual text, so I'm excluding those. Right. So this is simplest scripture what you can read in Sanskrit. So one is pronunciation. We actually improved a lot. When I asked any Prabhuji, then slowly with the broken Sanskrit somehow we used to do that. Even I. Right. Now we are at that level that all Prabhuji, all Mataji now are able to actually read it properly. So we have reached to that level. So one is correct. Pronunciation will be better. What else? But there is a way bigger goal than that. Our goal is not to get pronunciation correct. What is the bigger purpose? Yeah. Good
things, so good vibes.
Exactly. Yes. When you recite the transcendental sloka, these all things are transcendental. These are not of material world. This is all from spiritual world. This is Krishna who said that. When you recite those transcendental slokas or the vibrations, it gives you very good vibes inside. And so it purifies our consciousness. Like we do the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it does purifies our consciousness. So reciting this sloka purifies our consciousness. Right. And like we discussed just now, our desire for material thing will automatically go down when our consciousness gets purified slowly. It will happen, even though you may not see it. But gradually, maybe after 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, you will realize that you are not actually willing to do those things previously, which material thing which you were very dear, which was very dear to you before. I'm not talking about the responsibility, but like someone likes to watch IPL. And then there is a class. They're like, "Arey chodo yaar, kal to scoreboard pata hi chalega. Let me attend the class." That would happen automatically without anyone forcing you to do it. Right? It happens with people, with me also, with everyone. So yeah. So that's why we recite the sloka as many times as possible. So it purifies our consciousness. हमारा जो चित्त है वो शुद्ध हो जाता है. राइट. और जब चित्त शुद्ध होगा आप भगवान की ओर जाएंगे. आपको भगवान के प्रति प्रेम धीरे धीरे डेवलप होगा, इमर्ज होगा. So back to verse. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as the man of steady intelligences. So we talked about restraining our senses, right? Like a tortoise, restrain his senses from dangerous situations. For our condition, those conditions or those situations which will not be favorable to our path of spiritual progress. Keeping them under full control. And fixes his consciousness upon me. This is very important to understand here. Because that answers a big question which a lot of people have about this call. Any favorite question you have about this call? Just ask, feel free to ask. Your answer is here. पूछिए। एक बहुत ही फेवरेट क्वेश्चन है इस्कॉन के लिए, व्हाई ओनली? एग्जैक्टली, राइट। क्यों इस्कॉन वाले ओनली कृष्णा कृष्णा करते रहते हैं, राइट? हैव यू हैड एनी दैट क्वेश्चन एनी टाइम? नहीं, आप लोग ऑलरेडी ट्रांसेंडेंटल हो। मुझे तो था।
क्वेश्चन नहीं सुने बट पता है कि मतलब प्रश्न करते बट किसी क्वेश्चन रेस किया
हाँ, कृष्णा ही क्यों, एग्जैक्टली। सो द रीजन इज हियर, what para, what Krishna is saying, fixes his consciousness upon me. He does not say that fixes his consciousness upon some other god, some other devata, some other this. What he says that, and Bhagavad Gita is the most sacred text which we have, right? आप कोर्ट में भी जाते तो भगवत गीता के ऊपर हाथ रख के यू डू, मैं भगवत गीता के ऊपर हाथ रख के कसम खाता हूँ जो भी कहूंगा सच कहूंगा। says that कि मैं इस पुराण के ऊपर हाथ रख के कसम खाता हूँ और वेदों के ऊपर हाथ रख के कसम खाता हूँ, because we don't even understand Vedas, right? None of us have read it also, right? So Bhagavad Gita is the most important text we have, and Bhagwan himself is saying consciousness upon me, right? So the one thing is important to understand, that we are not going to counter what God is saying himself, right? God himself is saying physical consciousness upon me. Why do I need to go to all other places to find out and then realize that spending many lifetimes that okay, what he said was true? Because in the end we'll come back to that one. It's like a physics professor told you that there are something called atom, there are something inside the atom, there will be nucleus, there is electron, photon. No, I don't believe you, professor. I will do my experiment and then only I'll believe. Then he goes, he does his experiment for 20 years and then he comes back. Yes, professor. When professor was in death, well, yes, what you said was right. There is something called atom and there is electron and proton. But what he did, he wasted 20 years of his life just to prove that, or just to satisfy his ego, that I will not believe the professor, I will first try to find out by myself. So that's what people try to do in their life. Then they say, hey, how can I believe that what ISKCON people are saying is correct? No, ISKCON people nahi keh rahe, Krishna keh rahe. Krishna himself is saying, Vat param. Right? So, why to go here and there, try to find all other things and then come back? Because in the end, you have to come back to here. So better to go and try to find out from authorities. A physics can be learned from a physics professor. A lawyer can only tell you about the legal things. You don't become a lawyer in those conditions. Right? You have to go to the specialist. You have to go to the people who are expert to that. So if you have to learn the spirituality, don't learn in the train. Don't learn by Hotstar or whatever OTT is there, or don't learn it by office gossips. Spirituality cannot learn by that. You have to learn spirituality. You have to learn by the people who are expert to it. Right. And here Krishna himself is saying Mat para. So we are not going to counter that what Krishna is saying is wrong. No one can. How can we say Krishna, no, you told lie? He did not. So that's why. That is the answer. So very important point here is Mat para. That who is doing my bhakti, whose concentration or whose mind is fixed into my consciousness. So that is very important, and that man is the name of a man of straight intelligence, means स्थित प्रज्ञ।
ठीक है, आप बोल रहे कि मतलब ऐसे ही बिलीव करो, बट अगर नहीं बिलीव नहीं तो बहुत टाइम हो जाएगा। अभी उसको 20 साल एक्सप्लोर करने में लगा उसको। बट समटाइम्स ऐसे भी बोलते हैं कि मतलब उसको जब ठोकर लगती है फिर खुद जब पानी में गिरेगा तभी सीखेगा। बट फिर यहाँ उसको टाइम प्रोसेस में टाइम ज्यादा लगेगा।
ओके, आपने जब ABCD आपने कोई भी सब्जेक्ट सीखा, व्हाटएवर सब्जेक्ट यू लर्न, डिड यू ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट बाय योरसेल्फ? Never, right? When you have to learn that left shoe has to be worn in the left leg, right shoe has to be worn in the right leg only. Did you try to do experiment? No, let me try the other way and then I'll walk 2 kilometers and then. You believed it.
Some rules are set.
Exactly. When there is a rule that you have to walk left side only. Actually, you have to drive left side only, you have to walk right side. Right? Yeah. When there is a rule You have to drive left side only. They say, no, let me try first right side. When I will get the broker and in the hospital, when I actually come out of the hospital, then only I'll learn. You don't want to do that, right?
Yeah, some cases.
Exactly. So why are you doing for spirituality? When we don't do these things for our material life, why all these things we only try to do experiment in the spirituality only? Think of that. He is the supreme. What about other? When Prime Minister says that I am the head of the government, right? And then you are not meeting the Prime Minister, you are meeting a Home Minister. When you are meeting the Home Minister, can a Home Minister override Prime Minister's authority? But Home Minister is working under Prime Minister. So who is the supreme authority? Prime Minister. But is Home Minister any less for you?
But Prabhuji, here one doubt, like, in which school we go, we came to ISKCON's class, so people will say Krishna is supreme. If you go to Sadhguru's, they will say Shiva is supreme. So that is.
So that's where we have to learn. That's where we have to learn from the what our Shastra says then. Sadhguru follows Shiva, Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva is the topmost Vaishnava. We can never even talk bad about Lord Shiva. Right? It's impossible. If we are doing ये life तो भूल जाओ अगले 100 life भी 1000 life भी we are going to get stuck here. Lord Shiva is the topmost. He is the top devotee of Bhagwan. Right? How can you think bad about him? Now, if he follows Lord Shiva, it is fine. Who have propagated about Lord Shiva the most in our Bharatvarsh? Who? Any one name? The topmost teacher who propagated worship of Lord Shiva. बोली आप सही बोल रहे. You are there. Who? Like Ganpati. He is a devata. I'm talking about the person. Sadhguru is latest. Sadhguru. I will talk about Sadhguru in break, not when I am recording. Right. But Sadhguru is not from any authoritative sampradaya. You need to know who is coming from a sampradaya. Sampradaya means a disciplic successor, a chain. Who is the Guru of Sadhguru? He said that I was sitting in a tree and got the knowledge like that. He himself has said that I have not read the Shastra a lot of times. Are we going to take his words? Let's take the word of the topmost Shiva devotee, Sankaracharya. Is anyone greater than Adi Sankaracharya for Lord Shiva? No. What he said in Gita Math, if you want to read one Shastra, you have time to read only one Shastra. What it should be? Bhagavad Gita. If you want to worship only one God, it is Krishna. Devaki Nandan Krishna. Devaki Nandan. He uses the word. Right. If you want to worship one God, that is Krishna. The same Adi Sankaracharya, when his mother was on the deathbed, he said that you worship Bhagwan Vishnu, Lord Krishna directly. Right. Take from the top authority. Why do you want to take it from? That's why I said, don't learn spirituality from YouTube or Hotstar or in the train or in office gossips. Try to learn from the authentic sampradaya, which are coming from disciplic successor. Right. There are 4 authentic sampradaya in Vaishnava philosophy. Sri Sampradaya, all our temple, the big temple, Tirupati temple and all those things you see, Singhachalam and Yadgiri Gutta, everything is under Sri Sampradaya. Right. Then there is a Madhu Sampradaya. ISKCON is part of Madhu Sampradaya because it is started with Lord Brahma and it is Brahma Madhu Sampradaya. Actually, it is started with Lord Brahma and Madhvacharya is the one who propagated. Right. ISKCON is part of Madhu Sampradaya. Then there is a Rudra Sampradaya. Bhagwan gave knowledge to Lord Rudra, with Shiva, and he propagated that, so it comes from there. And there is a Kumar Sampradaya, 4 Kumaras. Sanatan, right, those 4 Kumaras. Right? So, try to find the knowledge from the authentic Sampradaya, not here and there. Right? I am not bashing Sadhguru is doing amazing thing.
No.
At least he is doing it. I'm just saying, it's not any disrespect to him. he is the one. He is also like doing a great job of bringing people to at least our fold. A lot of atheists is converting. Right. What happens? We do this way. We learn slowly. Only when you learn ABCD, you can actually learn how to make sentence. Right. And only when you make sentences, you will learn how to make a poetry. Right. So this is step-by-step process. He is bringing to at least one step rather than not doing anything. All respect to him, but yes, that's not the ultimate goal. The same Adi Sankaracharya wrote Bhaj Govindam. Right. You have heard Bhaj Govindam, right? Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. Murmati. Right, that bhajan, very beautiful. Why he wrote that? He went to Varanasi and there was an old guy. He was trying to learn Vyakaran, Padini Vyakaran. Right. मतलब आपको समझ में आ रहा है? So he was trying to learn the Vyakaran at the age of 70. He said that you are already in the मतलब जैसे बोलते ना कब्र में पैर है ठीक है, you are already going to die, you never know कि कब मर जाओगे, and you are wasting your time in learning Vyakaran. What you have to do actually Bhaj Govindam. He did not say Bhaj Shiva, he did not say Bhaj Ganpati. Even though the same Adi Shankaracharya also propagate the Panch Upasana with Panch Upasana method, right? To do worship of 5 types of devatas, 5 types of people. Because not everyone has the taste of worshipping Krishna. Right? Not everyone can come to that fold. And they'll be like, this is a long discussion actually. The whole class will be over with that. But what I'm trying to say here is, why others? Yes, why not others? They are not any less. Like, of course, like I'm not saying they are as equal to as Krishna, but they are not any lesser. Like they are way, way, way more important and more higher transcendental personality than us. Right? But they are not ultimately. That is what we have to remember. You can do that. Then again, in the end, you will be given opportunity to come to the next platform. So one way is like you have to go to 10th floor. You can take steps one after one. Each step you can go, or press the button, take lift, go up. The decision is ours. If lift is available, we are not going to take steps. And that's the whole thing. Right? Now, if you want Shastric point of view, there are hundreds and hundreds of scripture which talks about why Krishna is supreme, why not other. Right. I gave you just few examples here from Adi Sankaracharya. I did not include any example from Vaishnava scripture because you'll say you are giving example from again Vaishnava scripture only. Right. So simple example, what Adi Sankaracharya says from other sampradaya who is out of Vaishnava philosophy. Right. Vaishnava philosophy is all full of why Krishna is supreme. So Matpara means my bhakti. So that's the elevator. God is giving you the elevator. Take that. That's the point. So Srila Prabhupada explains here, the highest conception of yoga perfection is Krishna consciousness. Unless one is Krishna conscious, it is not at all feasible to control the senses. So the story of, again, the same story of Parikshit Maharaj. He was completely fixed into Krishna consciousness. Right? And because he was fixed, he was able to control his senses. Even when Durvasa Muni he has created a demon to kill Ambrish Maharaj, he was not fearful. He was not worried. They were like, okay, if he kills me, he kills me. Right? What happens will happen. My job, my duty as a soul is to remember the God. I will remember the God all the time. I am not worried about what is going to happen with this body. Right? He was completely able to control his senses. Right? So that is what mentioned here. Durvasa Muni unnecessarily become angry out of pride. So why Durvasa Muni did? Just a backstory. Because that was a Dwadasi. Ekadasi we do the Vrat. Right? It was a Dwadasi when Vrat has to be opened. And the Parayan time is very small window. Now Parayan time, he came just at the Parayan time and he said that you have to feed all of us. He came with the 60,000, some thousands of disciples. and you have to feed me. But I will go take a bath in Yamuna, and when I come, only then you have to feed us. And when a Rishi Muni comes to your house, you cannot eat before it. That's the rule. Or Sanatana Dharma is the rule. Now, Parayan time is very short, and he went to take bath, and he's enjoying his time in Yamuna, right? Like, okay, swimming pool, we don't want to come out. So he's enjoying his time in river, taking bath, and Parayan time is getting over. So Ambrish Maharaj, he consulted his ministers, his Raj Purohit, what shall I do? They said, okay, you don't eat anything, but you can drink water. By that, your wrath will be over. And by the way, that was not one day wrath, sorry. That was, I think, 12 years or 12 days wrath. Right. And if he will not break in the parameter, again he has to do, right? It will all go to waste. Right. So I think 12 years wrath. So, because he drank water on consultation of his Rai Purohit, Durvasa Muni came to know, he is a Muni, he came to know, and he was furiously, he came, how can you do this when a Rishi is present, when a Rishi has not eaten or drank anything, how can you do that? So he created a demon. You are so prideful as a king, so let me kill your pride. So that was the backstory. So that's what written here. Durvasa Muni unnecessarily become angry out of pride that without feeding me, how can you eat me? Right? He was thinking without feeding me, and therefore could not check his senses. On the other hand, king, a devotee of the Lord, silently tolerated all the sages' injustices, and thereby emerged victorious. In the end, Lord himself said, How can you try to kill my devotee, my great devotee? Right? No one can. Durvasa Muni is not at that level which is the devotee is. So Ambrish Maharaj, he engaged all his senses in the devotional service of Krishna. So one verse comes in Srimad Bhagavatam. This is just meaning. So the question is how we can engage all our senses in service of Krishna. So this verse explains that. All our senses in there are 11 types of senses, and it's all mentioned here. We'll discuss again more. So King Ambrish fixed his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Means he was thinking only about Lord Krishna. Engaged his words in describing the abode of the Lord. He was by his tongue, he was just glorifying the Vaikuntha. He was glorifying the Golok Vrindavan, right, where the Bhagavan lives. His hands in cleansing the temple of the Lord. How he used his hand? By doing the devotional service, he is cleaning the temple. He is a king, but he is still used to clean the temple of the Lord. His ears in hearing pastime of the Lord. How he utilizes his ear? By hearing the Krishna Katha, Hari Katha. Right. And his eyes see the form of the Lord. When we do the darshan of Ars Vigrah, when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, when we read Bhagavad Gita, that is also seeing Bhagavan. Right? Because all those things it's not of this material world. These all are transcendental. Transcendental means spiritual. Right? So he was using his eyes to see the form of God. His body in touching the body of devotees, like doing their charan spurs, right? Like that. His nostrils in smelling the flavor of the flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord. You would have seen that when we do the offering of flower to Bhagwan and Pujari gives us. So he was using his nose only to smell those offered things only, not for his material gain. His tongue in tasting the tulsi leaves offered to him. Means only eating prasadam, which is offered with the tulsi to Bhagwan. His legs in traveling to the holy places where his temple is situated. Legs for the traveling to the temple. His head in offering obeisances unto the Lord. And his desires in fulfilling the desires of the Lord. You see, all these organs, all these sensory organs what we have, every single organs he utilized in the service of Krishna. That's how we can do. That's how we can do. Like people say that, okay, I can read or how can I see that? Yes, you may not be able to see Krishna because we are not qualified to see Krishna. Like I'm not qualified to see Trump also. Then someone will say, no, I don't believe Trump. Unless he comes and give me handshake, I will not believe Trump. Just because I don't believe doesn't mean Trump does not exist. He does. So just because someone says that I have not seen Krishna, right? If you will show me, then only I'll believe. Boss, you believe it or not, doesn't matter. He exists, he is there, he is the supreme personality of Godhead. Your belief does not matter. It has zero value. Right. So become qualified to see Krishna and you will be able to see Krishna. So that's how we can utilize our entire body, our every sense in the service of Krishna. Right. And these all qualifications make him fit to become one para devotee of the Lord. One para devotee means someone who is fixed in Krishna's consciousness, the fully conscious about the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada writes here, the senses can be completely controlled only by the strength of devotional service to Krishna, like we just saw. As a blazing fire burns everything within the room, Lord Vishnu, situated in the heart of the yogi, burns all kinds of impurities. We have seen the blazing fire. How many of us have seen the forest burning? A video, there are not directly videos in the US. It keeps on happening, right? Arizona, Amazon is in South America, right? So like Colorado and all those places, the drier places, Texas, here, right? So this keeps on happening, and when there is a fire, when there is a blazing fire, it burns everything on the way. Whatever home, whatever trees, whatever cars, everything, whatever comes on the way, everything gets engulfed. So Srila Prabhupada gives here example, like this kind of blazing fire burns all those things, engulfs all those things. Same way, when we try to utilize our consciousness for Krishna, when we try to remember Paramatma who is living in our heart, right? All our impurities, that will get burned away automatically. Impurities means the material desires, the strong intense material desire, what we in Hindi call as kaam, and also in English it's called lust. Lust does not mean only the sexual lust. It also means any intense desire to get something. Like someone can have lust for a big car, and no, I have to get the big car. Right, that is also lust. Prabhu is, you have to have a big car. You already have a big car. So we will begin. Right. So like that, fire burns everything. And in the end, he mentions that we have to be Krishna conscious, devoted to the personality of Godhead. This is the aim of real yoga. So, yoga means? What do you think of yoga means? What is yoga? I'm asking questions so that I can drink water. So, what do you think when you heard the word yoga? What comes into your mind?
Common is like exercise.
But what is yoga? So योग in Hindi योग का मतलब होता है plus
Sadhana.
योग sadhana. योग means when you say in Hindi plus minus there is a Hindi term. So plus is called योग in Hindi. योग दो और दो का योग किए चार बन गया. Right? योग का संस्कृत हिंदी नहीं actually संस्कृत. Sanskrit meaning of yoga is to connect, to link with what? To भगवान. हाँ एग्जैक्टली क्योंकि आप आत्मा है ठीक आप ये बॉडी नहीं है आप आत्मा है यू आर सोल ठीक आप किससे उनको जोड़ रहे हैं परमात्मा से दैट इज योगा योगा एक्चुअली अभी के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में योगा मीन्स दिस इट डज नॉट एक्चुअली मीन दैट योगा हैज अ लॉट ऑफ प्रोसेसेस बिफोर यू गो फॉर डूइंग ऑल द फिजिकल एक्सरसाइजेज यू हैव टू डू यम नियम ठीक है आहार प्रत्याहार आसन एंड ऑल दोज 9 things you have to do. Then it is complete yoga. Nowadays yoga means do some exercise and that's I am yoga master. They are not doing. So yoga really means to connect with the God, and that's what Srila Prabhupada is trying to say. Right. So when we do this, when we do the bhakti, right, automatically these impurities go away. It will go out of our heart slowly. It cleans our heart and the senses will be gradually, it will be under our control. We'll be able to control our senses. Okay, this is not right, I will not do that. And when we do this daily devotional service, So we invite actually Krishna to our mind, like just this mantra: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this mantra, the meaning of this mantra is we are asking Krishna and his energy. Hare means Radharani. Krishna is Krishna. So when we chant this mantra, Hare Krishna, that means we are inviting Krishna to our heart, saying that, O Krishna, O Radharani, O Krishna. Like Hare means Radharani to Krishna. O Radharani, O Krishna, please engage me in your devotional service, in your service. That is the whole meaning of this mantra, Hare Krishna Mantra. And when we keep on chanting this every day, what happens? Our material impurities, the intense material desires, right? That will automatically goes down. Our consciousness will automatically start becoming purified, and that's how it helps us into gradually progressing into a spiritual life. Any question? So we'll go to next one. Before we go to next verse, let me just give you an overview, because after that this will be a very common theme. So what are the senses and what is called sense object? So there are 11 senses. There are 5 Gyanendriya, right? Gyanendriya are those senses which you can utilize for collecting the knowledge. Knowledge does not mean only the bookish knowledge. Knowledge also means when you are smelling something, you are also gaining a knowledge. Okay, this is very beautiful smell, or this is a very pungent smell, like that. So something which is acquired to gain the information type of thing, they are called Gyanendri. Right. So there are 5 types of knowledge gathering senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Right. You test to find out the qualities of a surface. Right. Like this is a smooth, or something which is, say, rough, like that. Right. Then there are 5 working senses which helps you to do activities: hands, feet, speech, the written, and awareness and genitals. These are the working. And then the 11th is the mind, which is the chief of all. Because mind only runs all those sense objects. So these 11 are altogether called sense objects. Senses. Right, Indriya. And then there are sense objects. What are sense objects? Sense objects are those objects which will stimulate, which will give you feedback to those senses. Right? Like again, I'll take example of Rasgulla. Right? It is giving you feedback. Okay, Meetha. Something sweet, something very tasty. Right? So those objects become sense objects. So those are called sense objects. So clear this point, right? Because in further verses, this will keep on coming. So we'll recite 2.62. Jayato Visyan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodho Abhijayate Jayato Visyan Pumsaha Sangatstesu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodho Vijayate. Any more from the research? Yeah, तो बात क्या आपको प्रभु जी, then we'll recite and then प्रभु जी. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः संगस्तेषु प्रजायते संगात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधो विजायते ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः संगस्तेषु प्रजायते संगात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधो विजायते. The translation by Yesu Christ translation say the part. While contemplating the objects of the senses. A person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. Now, very practical thing is going to start in next two verses. What happens when we see something very interesting or something which is very tempting? What is the flow chart of it? So Krishna in next two verses is going to explain that. What happens? So he says that while contemplating on the object of the senses, when we see the sense object which stimulates our senses. I want this. Right. Which stimulates our senses that it is tempting, I want this. A person develops attachment for them. Now, they develop attachment because I want this, so this is for me, I want this. I have an attachment. From such attachment, lust develops. Right? Lust means intense desire. Your intense desire develops that I have to have this. It should not be given to anyone else. We'll understand with one example. And from lust, anger arises. When it is not fulfilled, you get angry. How? And that's the story of every person. We all see in our day-to-day life. This happens. Like as an example. Right? Sense object. Right? So, this is a... now she has all attention. See, this is called sense object. Right? Both kids are now attentive. That's what I want. नहीं है बेटा प्रसाद अपने. Next time. Okay? So, you are doing your work from home. You are living with your roommate. That's a story. Right? You are living with your roommate doing work from home. Or maybe with your partner, husband or wife, doing work from home. And there is one last piece of this ice cream is there. And it is your wife come or your friend or your partner comes and says that all is over. This one is last one for you. Okay? Yes, it is for me now. Because I am in meeting, let me finish the meeting. It is just for half an hour. Just keep it for me. It is for half an hour. After meeting, I'll surely eat. Now, whole meeting, what you are doing? Thinking about this. Contemplating about the sense object. Arey yaar, ice cream kha rahe, jaldi khatam karo, please. And then meeting goes stressed. Half an hour meeting becomes 1 hour meeting. And you are like getting frustrated. Arey, kya faltu baatein kar rahe? I have to eat it. You are again thinking, meditating on that sense object. And then what happens? When you come out of your meeting, and then you like open the fridge and it's gone. What will happen? The first reaction? Who ate it? This was mine. How can someone eat it? I a whole time for 1 hour I was just thinking about it and someone ate it. Anger. So what they did in this example, they saw this object, they started contemplating, they started thinking about this sense object, and with that, they got an attachment. This is so tasty, this is for me, I am going to eat it. And they were thinking about this only whole time. This example, contemplating about the sense object, right? They got the attachment about that, and because of that attachment, they got intense desire. I have to eat it. This is for me. Right, let me just quickly finish my meeting and I go and eat it. So the desire, strong desire in their heart, right? They are getting that. And when that desire is not fulfilled after the meeting, what happens? Boom. Right? The anger comes out. So that's what Krishna is trying to explain here. This is the flow chart. This is how this works in our life. Take anything in your life for an example. You are, as an example, again, let's go to the company setup. You did a great job for the whole year, you are expecting promotion. Right? You did all the things what you wanted, over and above, exceeding expectations. Right? At the end moment, you came to know, aapka banda saaf ho gaya. It's the other guy who got the promotion. Right? The whole year, you saw the promotion is a sense object. Your mind was thinking about promotion, money. Promotion, no one actually likes to take more responsibility. Let's agree that it's all about money. If someone says that he will not get any money, but he will get 10 times more work, we'll say, bhaad mein jaye, but no promotion. That's what you'll say, everyone. Right. If no money, no promotion, I'm okay. Right. So the sense object here is the promotion money here. The whole year they were thinking about that. They got attachment, they got the intense desire to get promotion, and in the end, when it did not happen, right, in one-on-one, the volcano erupts. How can you? Why did I do this? This is my resignation letter. Maybe, but I'm going to more extreme. But some people go with the resignation letter also. This is it, right? So that's how it works in our day-to-day life. That's how anger gets uh, accumulated. Now to understand more, the senses require real engagement, and if they are not engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, they will constantly seek engagement in the service of the materialism. Now, what is the way out to this? The way out is given here. Right? There is a very famous quote. If you are not serving Krishna, you are serving the Maya. Maya Devi is nothing but the energy of Krishna. Well, not internal, but external energy of Krishna. Right? External energy of the one. Right? So, if you are not serving the Maya, Maya Devi is the one who is actually taking care of the whole material world. Why now? Why this world is called? Why Durga Devi is called Durga? Anyone knows? So this material world is called Durg. Durg means, anyone know the meaning of Durg? Kila. Fort. Right, fort. Durg means fort. When you go to Rajasthan and all, you see the Durg. Right. So Durg means fort. And this material world is called Durg. Durg means you cannot, and in prison. Durg means a prison which you cannot cross very easily. Right. It's a prison. You cannot cross easily like whenever you feel like, okay, let me go to this spiritual world. It won't happen like that. So it's a Durg. And every prison has a, who is the in charge of prison? Jailer. Every prison has a jailer. And this Durg, the jailer is Durga Devi. That's why it's called Durga. So Mata Durga, her name came because of this Durg. And if you do not have permission of course, Devi Durga, you cannot cross this. And not only that, but in case above Durga Devi also there is some, like above the jailer also there is a superintendent of jail who takes care of 20 jail. If he said no, take this guy out, then he's a topper, he's a even higher authority. And then it will be good. So Krishna is that level, right? Above that Durga. In the spiritual world, Krishna is that authority. To answer again your question. Right. So if you are not serving Krishna, that means if you are not trying to utilize your senses for serving Krishna, that means you are only serving the Maya. Maya means this material world, all the objects which are part of this material world. Like for an example, I am not doing any devotional service, let's say. Right. If I am not taking this class, what I will be doing? As an example, just think of it. Yeah, aap log, if you are not in this class, what you would be doing? Mobile. What else?
Housework or some time pass.
Some time pass, Netflix and chill. Right, all those things. Correct? You are serving Maya. In a way. In a way, actually, you are serving Maya only. To utilize your senses for all those things. Because, you scroll or don't scroll, those things will always be there. It doesn't help us in reality. Right. So, that's what Srila Prabhupada is trying to say here. That the senses require real engagement to utilize them in the service of Krishna. Not, if you are not doing that, you will be serving Maya here. That is in the material. And what you serve, the logic here is again, if you serve the Maya, you will get materialistic desires, you will get the materialistic things. Your mind will be filled of those thoughts. If you serve Krishna, if you serve Bhagavan, your mind will be full of those things, and that's where your thinking will gradually go to. Slowly. It will not happen like a bulb switched on and then suddenly you will become spiritual. It is a process, and it will happen through a process. Right. So, slowly when we start engaging our senses in the service of Krishna, our desires get purified and we think more on the spiritual point of view and we try to do more service for Krishna. Right. So, yeah. So further he explains that Haridas Thakur. So this story comes. So let me tell that story which I skipped before because it was a long. Now Haridas Thakur was a anyone knows Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Anyone does not know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here? You know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Aapko? Huh? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, have you been to ISKCON temple? Anytime. The first two deities you see with Igor, you can see Panchatattva on the top photo also. Right, or in the temple, the photo you see. Yeah, there are lots here and there you'll find. Right. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the one who actually started the Sankirtan movement. In Kali Yuga, that is the only way. It's not like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say he started, but he is the one who propagated the Sankirtan movement all over the world. And as a Gaudiya, as a ISKCON followers, we are all part of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement to spread the Harinam. Why do you think ISKCON वाले सड़क पे जाके भगवद गीता बांटते रहते हैं और chanting करते रहते हैं? तो भी घर पे बैठ के हरे राम कृष्ण कर सकते हैं. Because that is the movement. It is not isolated movement. It has to be spread. Because if you are not doing that is the service given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to all of us. That is spread the movement, to spread the word of Krishna. And Bhagavan himself says that in Bhagavad Gita 18 chapters, 18.69, that the one who gives this Param Guhya knowledge, Param Guhyatam knowledge actually, the confidential knowledge to everyone, he is the dearmost person to me. He himself says that. Someone who spreads my word, this knowledge, he is the one who is the dearmost to me. We are following the same. Okay. And every one of us should follow the same. Right, that is the way. So, Haridas Thakur was an associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was a born Muslim. He was a Mohammedan. But from childhood itself, he was very much attached to Krishna. And every time, like he was like taking Krishna's name. So, when he started getting older, the people from his community, they were like, who's this guy? Like he's a, dharm thrust. Right. For them it is a kafir. Right. So they're like, isko pheko yahan se. So they ostracized him. मतलब they उनका होता ना बहिष्कार कर दिया. ठीक है. They throw him out of his community. And because he was not worried about this, he was a great devotee of the Lord. Hindus also, that Orthodox Hindu, they did not accept him. What a Mohammedan is going to do in our community. So he was like from both sides, pushback was from it. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being a devotee, right? A devotee does not discriminate. So a lot of time you also would be hearing in your life, how can ISKCON wale or ISKCON people, how can they make a Videshi guru? Right? Actually, they know a lot. Most of them, they know way more knowledge than us. Even though we are born in India, we know we are like 30, 35, 40, 50 years old. How much of us have read completely Bhagavad Gita? We know our history. Right? How much of us know one sloka from Srimad Bhagavatam? Right? And then we question others. So a devotee of the Lord, he sees the Paramatma. Because everyone is Jiva. When God does not discriminate, who are we to discriminate? If they don't discriminate, whoever is receptive of taking the knowledge, they will get. And rest on is God's hand. He will make sure that someone who is serious, he will give them spiritual progress. So, he was a great devotee of the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he became his associate. He used to do 192 rounds of chanting every day. 192 rounds, matlab, one round has 108 beats. One beat is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram Hare Hare. That is one beat. You do it 108 times, that becomes one round. He used to do 192 such rounds. We do 16 rounds, it takes 2 hours. Right. That is prescribed 16 hours by Srila Prabhupada. And the Guru Parampara, that is prescription. It takes us 2 hours. 192 rounds. It used to take him 21 to 22 hours. The whole time he was only remembering God. Only doing preaching on. So he is called Namacharya. Right. His Chaitanya Mahaprabhu he gave him title of Namacharya. So he was so much devoted into Bhakti of Krishna. Now once what happened, he became very famous. And one of the Jamidar of his area, he got envious of him. And he sent the most beautiful prostitute of that area to uh, to stimulate him. That when honey trap, everyone knows honey trap, right? When they will be trapped into that, we'll take a photo and then that's it. All reputation is gone. So he sent the most beautiful prostitute of that area, and she was so beautiful that it is called that she was Maya Devi herself took a form of her to come to Haridas Thakur, to test Haridas Thakur. Right, that's what written here. She came to Haridas Thakur and very beautiful. Haridas Thakur is also very young guy, like 20, 24 years old. But he was doing chanting. So he comes in the evening and she says that I want to have union with you. And I want to, I want to be with you. So he says that, okay, if this is your desire, I will fulfill your desire. But let me do one thing. I still some rounds for me is left. Let me complete it, then I'll be with you. Right. So he was chanting already. He started chanting. Evening passed, night also. It went into midnight. That lady slept. Right. When she woke up, right, he was again ready for the next day, and he was doing chanting. Said, okay, I will come. He said, I'm very sorry. I apologize that I could not fulfill your desire. You come today evening, that will happen, and I will be with you. So she went, okay, I will come in the evening. Comes again evening. He said, like, okay, just few rounds of me is left. Just give me some time. I will complete it and then I'll be with you. And then again he was doing that. As he was sitting there listening to him. Right. This happened for 3 days. On third day when she came, he said like again. She did that was in front of him and she was completely transformed. She asked for his forgiveness. He said, I know who has sent you. I know who are you. And I know what is the purpose here. And anyway, like you came here, I was about to leave this place. I was going to some other side of the town. But because you came, so I stopped here so that I can transform. Because with the Harinam, you can be transformed. Third day, she got completely transformed and she became a great sadhvi of her time. Like people used to come and take her preaching from her. Like a very revered saint of that Navadvip area. Right. He said, like, I'm going anyway. Tulsi ji is there. You take this mala and worship Tulsi Maharani and do this chanting. By that, she was transformed. So, with the association of great devotee, people transform like this. That is also a lesson. And a young guy, like, forget about young guy. Even old people are not able to control their senses. One story comes in, not Shastra, but actually real story. Once Akbar and Birbal, Akbar asked, he had a question, he asked the question that, by when do you think people's sexual lust gets over? Birbal answered, never. It will never get over. Until they are alive, it will be there. He said, how? No, I don't believe it. If they will become old, it will be over. He said, okay, I'll give you an example. I'll give you a test. Okay. Let's go to a dying man. There's one person who is dying. He's on deathbed and any moment he can die. But you bring your youngest daughter. Right. He did not understand Akbar and he came with his youngest daughter. Now Akbar, Birbal entered, Akbar entered and the youngest daughter entered. The dying man saw both of them and then the third person, youngest daughter is saw. And youngest means she was not a kid. She was youngest means she was the little elder. At the age of marriage. But all the time when he was talking to Akbar and Birbal, his eyes were fixed on that daughter only, even though he was on deathbed. So when they came out, he asked the question, Birbal, now did you understand? He said, yes. Now I understood that even when we are deathbed, our this kind of lust is never going to get over. Right. So lust is so strong, our desires, interest, desire is so strong, it is never going to get over. But Haridas Thakur, just a young person, right? And Maya Devi herself came into such a beautiful form. Obviously, when she comes, she will come in a beautiful form, right? He was in full control of his senses because his full concentration was on remembering Krishna. Right? His whole mind was completely fixed on bhakti, doing the chanting. Remember, listening to each word what he's saying. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Every single word, right? His concentration was that strong. He was not worried about all of it. That is the way how we can control our senses. And that is the only way how we can control our senses. Right? Because with that, what happens? Since a sincere devotee of the Lord serves all material sense enjoyment due to his high taste for spiritual enjoyment in the association of the Lord. That is the secret of success. One who is not therefore in Krishna consciousness, however powerful he may be controlling the senses by artificial repression, is surely ultimately to fail. And for the slightest thought of sense pleasure will agitate him to gratify the desire. Right. The same example we can take of the Vishwamitra Muni. He was trying to artificially control his senses, but his mind was not completely purified. So one sound of ankle bell of Menka and his whole tapasya was gone. Right. So the way is to utilize our all senses in service of Krishna. Right. Doing something like that. That way we'll get the higher taste and gradual progress. So yeah. Like last verse will take 10 minutes. Yeah. Because then the flow will be complete. Next two verses. So we'll recite after the provision. Like all everyone. क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. So translation by Srila Prabhupada. Now we ended with anger there, right? When our desire is not fulfilled, intense desire, we get into anger. I think आप लोग उसके बाद आए थे, right? So the flow was when you see the sense object. I don't know where you were there. Just very. You were here. So you know. You came at ice cream. Perfect time. All right. So we stopped at anger there, right? Now what happened? From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. What happens? From anger, we get when we get angry, we get delusion, right? We get the delusion or disillusion, okay? And from delusion, bewilderment of memory. We lose our memory. Like what is good, what is bad, we stop thinking about that and we forget about also. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And because we forget about those things, our intelligence is completely lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into material good. Let's understand. Right. So we were at the chart where anger was there. With anger, what happened? Delusion. It leads to perspective and the bewilderment of memory. Right. Like we become disillusioned. Drum. The word used was drum here, right? Vibhrama. Right. We become into drum, like in illusion, that This is what is right and wrong. We are not able to now understand that because of the anger. We all know that, right? When we are angry, everything just blows out of our mind. Whatever, right? You want to know the truth, make someone angry. You know all the truth, right? Because they lost their power of discrimination there. They get into illusion. And that is the second thing. We will learn memory. They forget that what is right thing to do, what is wrong thing not to do. Right. Because of that delusion, disillusion, and loss of intelligence. It's all connected. Right. Because of that, they lost the power of discrimination between right and wrong. And when they lost the power of doing right and wrong thing, they get into this cycle of birth and death. Why? Because they fall into material plane. How? Same example of Durvasa Muni. There, because of his ego, he forgot what is right and wrong. He forgot that the guy he is trying to kill is the greatest one of the greatest devotee of Bhagwan. He is trying to kill him because he was angry. How can someone have or drink some water before I had any? He was angry. He forgot. He got disillusioned that I am better or I am the greatest person here. Right. And with that disillusion, he forget that what is right and wrong. He got angry and then he fall into material pool that Durvasa is not the person of his spiritual plane, he is from the material plane. At least at that point of time. Right. With that, he fall. And with that, he fall into material pool that his activities now are only for the material benefit, his own material benefit. Right. So that is the full uh, flow here. That flow is the how someone falls down in how someone falls down into the material disillusionment. As soon a person becomes angry, that will the same thing we explain. Any question here? And how we can see that? We have seen in our real life and we have read in our real life also the same thing. Like how anger gets into doing people a lot of bad things. Right? Such bad things that even people are ready to kill their parents or the parents are or have killed their children also. Hundreds of such examples. Right? I just took some of the articles from them. Someone is killing for the property. Someone killed their child only because she was having a illicit relationship with someone and the child was making some. Right. That anger. It makes people to do that kind of stupid. It's not even stupid. It's a worst thing. Huh? Yeah, heinous crime. Right. People forget that your parents are the one who gave you birth. They raised you till this level, and you are what you are because of your parents. At least at some level. If they would have not taught you, someone can become spiritual. Right. There could be a time that someone becomes spiritual. That doesn't mean that they are indebted to their parents. They are not indebted to their parents. And their debt will always be there. And because they have made you at some level that you are at level that you can read and study to become spiritual. Right. And they are ready to for property or for something, for lover or whatever nonsense thing they are ready to, or they have killed their parents or their child or all of them. Right. So this is what anger does. And when someone does those nonsense things, nonsense acts, heinous crimes, what is ensures they will remain in this material life. There is no way that they are going to get out of this world. Right. That is the cycle of people falling down here. So the question comes here, like if someone is falling down from a cliff, from a mountain, when the person should stop in that process? Just idiots. Someone is falling. Yes, please ask questions, answer. This is a two-way class, not one-way class. So feel free to ask any confusion you have, anytime you have any question, and you have any point or answer, you can do. Right. So if someone is falling down from a cliff, when should they stop? I'm not saying when will they stop. I'm asking when should they stop? Uh, before they jump from the cliff. Like in software testing, I started from testing background, so I'll give you one example in software testing. Right. The main criteria नहीं क्या बोलते, the main methodology of testing or the main goal of testing is try to find the bug as soon as possible. Because if you find somewhere at the end stage, it will cost you a lot. By that time, a lot of developer has worked. By that time, a lot of things, a lot of release have happened, a lot of things. Right. If you are going to reverse that, you are wasting hundreds of thousands of dollars. So try to find as soon as possible. So in this stage also, and that answers your question, right? Why 20 years ago, right? Try to find as soon as possible so that you don't waste your time. So that applies in the process of bhakti also. If you are getting the opportunity, the opportunity doesn't come like that, Like you are from this society, right? Madhuri, you are from?
No, they are calling opposite side.
Okay,
Road
right.
opposite.
So let's include the Nalaganda and wherever the side you came from, right? More than 1 lakh people lives here. How many are there in classes? You can see there are 7, 8 such classes. Total mila ke bhi there are not more than 100 people. Sunday afternoon, right? Anyone can come, like 2 hours for spiritual life. But people, what they try to do? So this is because of your good karma that you are here. The God has given you opportunity. Not everyone gets that opportunity. Right? A lot of people get opportunity and then they skip, like YouTube ad. Okay, next time when I get old. And what is old? So someone asked one guru, like, I will do this when I will do this thing, Prabhuji, I will do this only when I get old. So yeah, what is the definition of old? They said, when I am going to die. They said, do you know when I am going to die? How about next day? He said, no, I mean. Then how can you say you are not old now? Right? Isn't it logical? If old means some like the time when I am going to die, then I can die the next moment also. That means I am old. You are always old. You are never young. And the soul is anyway here for millions and billions of years. So that logic of when I get old, then I will do. That logic itself, it flats out with this particular reason, right? No one knows when they are going to get. No one knows they are going to get old or not. Doesn't mean they are never going to get old. It means that we never know. Kya life? कितने दिन जिंदा रहना? And in next life, what we will become? Gadha, Kutta, Billy, right? We don't know. Depending on our karma and our consciousness, right? If someone does not have any consciousness, their karma is like that, they'll become a dog, they'll become a dog. So a dog cannot read this scripture or sit here in Bhagavad Gita class and listen to that. Not everyone is like Bharat Maharaj who will have his memory and listen to that. Right? So we should stop our senses when at that start itself, when it is going into this cycle of material form down. At the start itself, what was the start point? Anyone remembers? In the cycle which we discussed, what are the starting point? नहीं, उससे पहले था. You get the desire only when you know things. नहीं, वो आप बिल्कुल बीच में. What was the ice cream? Sense object. Right? We have to stop at the level of sense object itself. Right? Now, a difficult question. That means you stop eating ice cream and this and that and everything we should stop doing. Only eating rice and namak and ghee, or maybe ghee bhi zyada hoga, maybe tel. Right? It does not mean that. Right? It does not mean that. Let's understand. So here Krishna uses dhyayato visyan person, like in this word. Actually 2 words back. Dhyayato visyan person. Here. That means contemplating on the object of senses. You don't have to set all your senses, right, to stop this process. What you have to do, you don't have to contemplate on that. I want this. I have to get this. This is only made for me. That kind of thinking, when you stop at there, you cannot stop ice cream from being made, right? But you can stop, okay, I know that someone who is having diabetes, right? Like I have slight diabetes, right? And I feel a lot like eating, but a lot of people can relate to that. So when we stop, okay, there is ice cream, but I will stop, okay, I know it is bad for me, I will not. At that stage, I am stopping. I'm not stopping ice cream, I'm stopping my reaction, my response towards that sense object. Right, that way we can control our senses. It means that here. Not, it does not mean that you stop the sense object itself. Now, even a better way. We are talking about the higher senses. So, uh, Silarup Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is a one very great scripture. So, Silarup Goswami writes here, by development of Krishna consciousness, one can know that everything has its use in the service of Lord. Who are those who are without knowledge of Krishna consciousness artificially try to avoid material objects, and as a result, although they desire liberation from material bondage, they do not attain the perfect stage of renunciation. The so-called renunciation is called falgu or less important. Right? I'll explain this. So, what it means here is, I'll explain by example. So, what it means, there are two types of people in spirituality. One, who are like this, thinking, these all things what I'm saying in this world are material things. So I will try to detach myself from that. I will never utilize that. And that way I will become safe from these things. Like a yogi, I will not eat good things. Right, I will not go to such places jahan music वगैरह हो or any such kind of thing. Right, I will go isolated in the jungle. I'll do my isolated tapasya and do this thing. They try to artificially cut off themselves from doing this thing. That is one way. It's called Falgu Vairagya. It is a Vairagya renunciation. It's called Falgu Vairagya. There are other types of spiritualists. Now, the problem with the first type is, even though they are trying to artificially stop, the desire from their mind is not gone. Like we had the example of Vishwamitra, right? The desire is still there. And when the favorable conditions like that comes, it will again come. So, right? The desires will again come up in their mind. Okay, एक बार, जैसे डायबिटीज है, नहीं खाऊंगा, and then यार एक रसगुल्ला, जस्ट एक रसगुल्ला खा लेते हैं, ठीक, 1 kilometer extra walk I will do, but एक रसगुल्ला only, right? That's why they do that, because the desire is still there. Now what is the way then? Right? So the way is given here in this verse. Right? So as an example, the way is given in this verse here, everything has its use in the service of the Lord. Now the person who is Bhakt, now the person who is Krishna consciousness, they know one thing. Who is the owner of everything, by the way? Krishna, right? Bhagwan is the owner of everything. We don't own anything. We think that I own this laptop, मर जाएंगे, laptop किसी और के पास जाएगा. Or we own this house, right? 99 years ago, government also can take, by the way. Right? If someone knows. Right? So, we are not owner of anything. We are not even owner of our kids also. Right? That's why kids also, when they become a little older, bye bye, mummy, bye papa. हम भी तो यहाँ वैसे ही. That's how we are here. Right? आपके तो पापा हैं साथ में. At least you are with them. We are not. So yeah. So we are not owner of anything. Everything owner is Krishna. And a Bhakt knows this thing. That the owner of everything is Krishna. Now when he is the owner, now you are working in a company. There is a Xerox machine. Should you take Xerox machine on Saturday, Sunday, no one comes to office? Oh, I will use it for myself. Should you do that? Yes? हाँ, आपकी काफी अच्छी कंपनी है. नहीं, मतलब, are you allowed even to do that? कि take the Xerox machine to home for working?
Not
हाँ, exactly. I think you do not understand because no one can do that. Right? Why not? You are also employee of the company. Why you can't take the Xerox machine to your home? You have to take 10 printouts for your kids' homework, summer vacation. Why you can't do that? Because you are not the owner. When the owner comes, he say, "Pack kar do, ठीक है, मुझे ले जाना है." And no one will say anything because he is the owner. So everything, whatever is available in your office, can be utilized for the service of the owner because he is the owner of everything. Same way in this world, whatever is available can be utilized for the service of Krishna. But the problem happens when we think that we are the owner and I will utilize for my own sense gratification, my own service. I eat this ice cream so that I will feel happy. I eat pizza so that I can feel happy. My tongue will be happy. So, where to stop? Not to stop that, stop pizza. Stop at, don't contemplate on pizza. Pizza nahi bhi mila to jo milega, be happy. Right? So, one way is eat prasadam. One way is actually that is the only way to have the food. The food is the biggest thing which gives you karma. Right. So when you give the food, when you offer the food to Bhagwan first, what happens? He takes all the karma. What you get is the prasad. Prasad will revenate, mercy of the Lord. He gives you that. So you don't get any karma. You stop at that level. Right. So always, like whenever we should eat anything, we should first offer to Krishna and then only eat. Because anyway, pizza aap hi khaoge. Right. But there is a difference between that Domino's pizza and this prasadam pizza. One has all the karma because it is not offered to Lord, and another has no karma because it is offered to Lord before. It is sattvic food offered to the Lord with love and devotion. That's what Krishna says that. Pasmat putram phalam toyam. Right? Offer these things, smallest thing to me with love and devotion, and I will take away all the karma from it. Right? I will accept it with full love. Right? You want to listen to music. There are much better music than the first picture, right? Which actually is stimulating our sense object. Better musics are available. You can listen to that. And actually, once you start listening to those better music, the spiritual sound, you will forget about these things. And I can give you example of myself. I used to hear lots of rock and metal music, better less, better rock more, right? I had hundreds of GBs of library with me, right? And there were no band which I would not have listened to. But since slowly I started listening to Kirtan and all, now I don't like to listen to them. Right? It did not, no one forced me to do it. Automatically it happened. Because now I find the peace and I find the actual happiness when I listen to those music. It does not happen with those material music. So that is the way that we need to have the understanding that the consciousness will develop when we utilize the same things, the same activity, right? Eating pizza is same thing, listening music is same thing. But one is material, another is spiritual. That's how we can stop it at the proper level. Right. And that is what it is explained here by Srila Prabhupada also. Like you can see the thali, all the prasadam. We don't eat it that much at home also. Right? I know I'm making people more hungry by showing all those things. Right? Just a few minutes, you will be getting prasadam also. Right? So Bhakti means utilizing everything in the service of Krishna because he is the owner. And when he is the owner, you should utilize everything for the owner's pleasure, not for our own pleasure. If we accept that, if we remember and practice that, everything will be like everything will be going progressively in this spiritual life. Right. Utilizing all our senses in the service of Krishna. Like hearing, we had already the example of it. Right? I will not go into detail. So when someone goes into that stage, just the last line, when someone goes into that stage, they start thinking about, previously they were thinking about how I can utilize that thing for my pleasure. But next time, slowly, gradually, what happens? They see the juicy mango. Right? It looks tasty, right? I know. So when they see that, then they will start thinking the yogi, the Krishna conscious person, how I can offer this juicy fruit to Krishna. Right? Instead of thinking that how I can eat that. Although you will be only eating this, like I am saying that. Krishna is a bhavagrahi. He takes the bhav with the love and devotion you have offered. He does not take the fruit as such. Right? Your fruit will not go away. He takes the bhav with the love and devotion how you have offered it. Right? But because you are doing it with the love and devotion, it becomes spiritual. So everything can become spiritual. Not only things, but the people also. How a people can become spiritual? When you practice bhakti, uh, properly with your full determination, you can make people spiritual. Right? The people around you will see them, will see you like how the what the person you were before and what the person you have become. They will see the real life example, and that's how people will also become spiritual. When you utilize people also in the service of Krishna. Someone is going on the road, भैया प्रसाद उठवा के रखवा दो. That activity becomes a spiritual activity. Right? Or do Samandha Dhanam. Their whole salary becomes spiritual because the one portion of it they have done for spiritual activity. So everything what we do in this material life can become spiritual. We have to just utilize it in proper way, spiritual. Right. So any question? So that was the whole chart. Again, yeah. Any questions? So we're starting with the contemplating on the sense object. Then when we see the sense object, we become attached to it. And because of that attachment, we get intense desire to have that for ourselves. When we don't get that, we get angry. That why I did not get that. When we become angry, we get disillusioned. We lost our power of discrimination between right and wrong. And that leads us to our fall down. That's the descending ladder of delusion or the ladder of fall down. And we have to stop at the first level itself. Don't contemplate on. Right? And utilize everything in the service of Krishna. Because that is the only way. Any question? तो आप भगवान को कुछ भी नहीं खिलाओगे ना जैसे तो ये गलत कॉन्सेप्शन है भगवान ने हमें ये भी देखना है कि व्हाट वी आर ऑफरिंग टू हिम इट डजंट मीन कि वी आर ऑफरिंग मीट टू भगवान सेइंग दैट कि बिकॉज सब कुछ भगवान का है तो लेट्स ऑफर हिम मीट आल्सो राइट इट डज नॉट मीन दैट इट हैज टू बी सात्विक देयर आर रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन आल्सो राइट when you offer a meat you are doing a bigger karma that you are eating meat and offering to भगवान मतलब कर्मा छोड़ो आप मतलब कितना बड़ा पाप ले रहे हो that is unthinkable right? So it has to be sattvic it goes without saying हाँ that conditions included star mark
ठीक है आप क्या करके आप स्टार्टिंग में पाप कर रहे हो आप
हाँ एग्जैक्टली आप वही कर रहे हो फिर भगवान will not accept that like I said is a bhavgrahi your intention why did you offer meat which shastra says that you should offer meat no shastra says that if you are offering meat you are going against shastra you are doing with the intention that when I offer I will get to eat that it's a tasty thing with that intention only that means you are not doing it for Krishna you are doing it for your own pleasure your intention itself is not there so he will not take that and when he does not take that it does not become prasadam because prasadam is the remnant of the Lord of the mercy of the Lord when he has not eaten then what remnant so that way it does not qualify any other form right? With that we'll finish them Vacha Karuta Visya Vikasa Vidya Chavatana Pavlu Vyashti Vidya Namaskara Tikuru Vyashti Vijay Sina Gopal Vijay Lord